Okay, go ahead.
What? Where were you born?
Where was I born? I was born in Calcutta. It's in the state of Bengal in India. My parents were from England, and my father was working in Calcutta for a Swiss engineering company. And after I was born, the family went back to England when I was about, well, I went back when I was about 4 or 5 and lived with a friend of the family. My parents went back to India, and then when I was about 8, my parents came back from India and went back to England and lived in England from there on.
What happy memories do you have from childhood?
What happy memories? Well, you know, I don't have a whole lot of particularly happy memories, but most of my memories were fairly happy, which is sort of surprising in a way because, you know, I lived away from my parents when I was 5, 6 years old, and most people would say that that would be a hardship, but I don't remember it that way. The woman that we lived with owned a hotel, we being my brother and I. She owned a hotel in the west of England, and her name was Natty. And I remember us being a very friendly person, and lived in the hotel had a big garden and property around it, and I used to run around the garden all the time, and there were a couple of other kids there, young girls actually, and so I used to run around with them all the time.
Tell us when
Fireplace.
you were flying an airplane.
I was what?
Being a pilot.
Oh, flying. Well, in the times when I was really young, you know, airplanes had pretty much just recently been invented, so there was kind of really exciting things. And I was very, very keen on airplanes from the time I was like 4 or 5 years old on up, you know. And one of the earliest pictures that I can remember is of me sitting in this garden where we lived in the west of England while my parents were in India, and playing with a model airplane. And I stayed with that. That was kind of my fascination, my hobby, if you will, was building model airplanes and trying to fly them and crashing them and so on. And so it came a point in time where I was sort of bored with life, and I was about 20. And there came an opportunity to join the British Navy and become an airplane pilot in the Navy. And I thought that would be a much more interesting thing to do than what I was doing at the time, was working in an engineering company. So I did. I signed up for that. It happened purely by accident. I didn't know it was going to happen. That just as I joined the British Navy to be a pilot, they decided to train all their pilots in this country, in the United States. So as soon as I went through some sort of preliminary naval training, I was then shipped over here, literally on a ship, because the way you crossed the Atlantic in those days was by ship, mostly, because airplanes weren't very well suited to crossing the Atlantic. So I can remember getting on the ship and then getting off States Navy trained all its pilots. And that was a very big operation. They trained 3,000 pilots a year. Went through about a year and a half of training and various stages of training, and then went back on a ship to the UK and stayed there for a while, and flew around England and Scotland.
What did you like about working at Stanford?
What did I like about that? Well, I liked having a rather unstructured job description. You know, there was nobody really to tell me what to do on a day-to-day basis, or at least the guy that was supposed to tell me what to do, I didn't like, so I didn't do what he told me. So, but the other thing, the positive side, was that I got to meet all the kind of high-level physicists, the scientists who were working there at the Linear Accelerator Center, and most of those were really interesting people. Some of them were jerks, and I told them so. You see, you guys don't really know about all that, but in those times, the United States was involved in a war in Southeast Asia, which many of us felt was a very bad war because it was unnecessary. It was based on false understanding of what the politics of the region was, and it was using all the high-tech weapons of the United States to kill people who didn't need to be killed, and were just ordinary people, but different people than us. And so we thought that was very bad, and we were very angry. And so we tried to find ways of making it less comfortable for the United States government to carry on that war.
What was your favorite place you have been to in the world?
Oh, there are so many, different favorite places. I've been to Spain quite a lot recently in the last 15 years or so, because I am involved in an artistic endeavor that is based in southern Spain, and so that's kind of a favorite place. Before that, despite the fact that I wasn't particularly interested in staying in the Navy forever, some of the places we went to were very interesting. The carrier went into the Mediterranean, to Naples, to Capri, to Gibraltar, to Malta, all these places in the Mediterranean, which are sort of fascinating places, and I still remember those very well.
What do you like most about flamenco dance?
Oh, flamenco dance. Well, that's difficult. Flamenco it's an artistic form which has music, song, and dance, and they all go together. It's kind of difficult to describe what do I like about it. I mean, it's just some kinds of music make you feel good, and some kinds of watching people dance make you feel good. And I don't think anybody knows how to describe why that makes you feel good. It just does. You feel it's exciting and it's the right thing to do, and so on. So